Hello, hello. What's up? What's up? It is a new day, it is a new week, and it's time to get social. My name is KaVonna, and welcome to the Introvert's Social Hour. Hello, hello, hello. This is the best of 2023 episode. I just want to start off. These are my best of 2023s. These are my opinions. You are probably going to disagree, and that's perfectly fine. Your best of 2023 is yours. This is mine. We're going to go over music, albums, singles. We're going to go over even some music videos. I love entertainment, so we're going over all of that TV shows, movies, and of course, I'm a reader, so we're going over books. And I'm just going to give you my tops for the year. It's kind of wild how fast this year went by. When it comes to entertainment, with the strikes and everything that happened this year, we did have some lulls, but we also did have some highs in certain things that popped out before. It was so interesting because all the movies really popped out when the strikes hit. Because I remember the beginning of this year, the theaters was feeling real empty, like there was nothing to go see. So I'm going to be really excited talking about all of this with y'all. We're going to start off with music first. So, when it comes to music, I tend to listen to more pop, pop R&B, and that's kind of where I stick. There was a time and a place when I was listening to like more alternative and stuff, but I feel like alternative doesn't hit anymore like it used to in the 2010s, late 2009s. So where's the script? Paramore dropped some stuff here or there, but nothing this year specifically. So my list is mainly pop and R&B. So let's go over it. So we first had Miley come out, Miley Cyrus. She dropped Endless Summer Vacation. I loved Endless Summer Vacation. Um, it was so interesting to see Flowers get more hype than the album itself because I really do feel like there's songs on that album that stood out way more than Flowers. No hate to Flowers, but there were other songs that deserved the same love and attention. But I love the way she rolled it out. She had her own, kind of in her house concert dropped via Disney Plus. That was really nice. I liked the imagery of it all with the music videos for Flowers and the imagery when she was doing the kind of like concert recording in her house. My top songs, and no, Flowers is not on there. And I don't think it was because it was overplayed. I actually got tired of Flowers quite easily, and I have always felt this way since Endless Summer Vacation came out, that Flowers was a hit for sure, but there were other songs I feel like should have got the same love that Flowers did, or even close. I just feel like Flowers just kind of overtook everything else. So my tops are Jaded, Violet Chemistry, River, and Island. No specific order, but I will say right now, funnily enough, Violet Chemistry has been stuck in my head a lot. It's such a good little clubby bop. And then Jaded is such a good it's not 100% like a ballad, but it definitely has that ballad feeling with that still like that rock touch that Miley gives to her work. River is a fun like clubby vibe too, but it's not as like pop compared to Violet Chemistry. Or if anything, it's pop, but it's not like as current pop. It felt very like you're getting thrown back into like 80s vibes. So I like that. And then Island was very chill vibes. Like I could see myself dropping that in a coffee shop's playlist. So that's Endless Summer Vacation. I'm gonna move on to my next one. Um, so let me just preface this. I'm also dropping albums and music that's not just by artists, but that was also dropped whether by TV shows or musicals, etc. So my next album that came up that I really enjoyed, and played a bit on my Spotify Wrapped that they did show. I played it a lot. Aurora by Daisy Jones and the Six. Now, Daisy Jones and the Six, quality TV show. We're going to talk about that. But the music really helped make it for sure as well. Not a lot of like, skips, I would say, to be quite honest with you. Like I could play the whole album and still be okay. I'm not like, no, I'm skipping it. Um, but let me give you my tops for that. So I have Aurora, of course. That's just a fun one. It's so fun. Look at us now, also of course, because it's literally like it feels like the title song in a way. Um, AKA Honeycomb. Regret Me, that's a fun one in a sense of can I get more of that like grungy vibe, and especially if you watch the TV show, like you really kind of get that message and get the moment. Let Me Down Easy gives a very like cruisy vibe. I love that. And then More Fun to Miss, also kind of more, like you're getting back into that grunge. She was in her bag with that. So I just want to say that my favorite, I would say, is Aurora for the peaceful kind of vibe it gives. And then I would say maybe the second one would be Regret Me. I don't know. I think that would be my decision. I will say I really appreciated that it made me kind of like listen to a different genre for a second because I would not say this is pop. I'm definitely more of an indie, maybe if someone would label it indie pop vibe, but definitely more of an indie vibe. Um, and I really enjoyed it, like very much so. I will be playing Daisy Jones and the Six from here on out a few times a year for sure, with those top 5 songs. The other songs were great too, but those ones are the ones I felt myself constantly playing in various times of the year after it dropped. Next, In Pieces by Chloe Bailey. I will say, once again, my opinion, as a whole, I didn't feel a hit with this album. Um, Unfortunately for me, it was a no skip like it was a skip album. Like there were a lot of songs I skipped more than stayed with. But there are some songs that I do want to mention that I really did love. So, one, Pray It Away, and she released it as a single first, and I really enjoyed it. Shout out to the music video as well. I just really loved it, loved the choreography. Great song. I loved it. I don't think it got as much appreciation as I appreciated it for, but it was one of my favorites. Next up is Body Do. I think Body Do should have got a full music video. I think Body Do should have got its full time. I think it definitely would have hit stronger. She randomly released it on a surprise release, and I think it just didn't work. I don't know. It just didn't work. It's not one of those songs I think you should surprise release. It was something that deserved more time, deserved to be a proper single, and it didn't get its love. But I really think Body Do would have ate with a good music video and like a good like proper like drop and release. I feel like things started to get rushed and dropping before the album and didn't get enough love. But those are some of mine. In addition to Pray It Away and Body Do, I really loved Heart on My Sleeve. It's always the really short, like little interlude songs that really hit. Heart on My Sleeve is such a good song. I would love to do some choreography to it. And then last but not least is In Pieces. I love when Chloe gets into her ballad bag. I know she's a pop girly, but I really do love when she gives us a little bit more. So that's why I really do love Heart on My Sleeve and In Pieces because it gives a little bit more zhuzh, gets out of the box a little bit. I mean, the album is called In Pieces, so it's nice to get something that we don't get often. Obviously, we've gotten it with her and Hallie, but I liked getting it with, from her being just on her own, and what her sound is without Hallie and without it necessarily being 100% pop, boom, 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 club mix all the time, if that makes sense. So that is my little recap on In Pieces. Then I want to give a special shout out to the Shucked musical, the Sweeney Todd musical. Those cast albums were hits. I really didn't think I'd have Sweeney Todd stuck in my head, but the Ballad of Sweeney Todd really, really, really hits on audio, and it hits even more in person because the choreography is A plus 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 plus. Go ahead and check their performance from the Tonys. It's solid. I loved watching it in person. I wouldn't take it back for anything. Um, the Little Mermaid, I want to give a shout out to that album, more specifically to the new songs on the track, but even more specifically because Scuttlebutt is not in my top two. For the first time in Wild Uncharted Waters, I truly, 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 for the first time, was in my top 5 for my Spotify Wrapped. I can't tell you how much I love that song. Alan Menken and Lin Manuel Miranda were in their bag that day. It's so good. I I'm surprised it wasn't properly nominated for things, to be quite honest with you. But, we move on, I guess. But it really should have been. That was best musical song fresh out the box this year for me personally. And then also shout out to Wild Uncharted Waters. I loved it because it was unintentional, but it really gave that angsty teen vibe. It put me back to like, where are you? Like that vibe of, just really feel being in the feels. And they did a great job, not only writing it, but then also, of course, Home Skilly Bisky singing it, and he did a great job. And also on top of just the vocals of the album, but once again, shout out to the visuals for both songs for the first time in Wild Uncharted Waters, because I love that I can listen to both songs and really feel it because I've also seen it. That's what I love about musicals. Going on. So if y'all notice, I'm trying to go in order of the year. It might be a little out of order, but moving on to Flow EP. I cannot wait for their album to officially drop whenever they do, but their EP was good. Um, I liked them, but the one I like the songs in general. The one I really did like, and I found myself continuously playing every now and then, was Control Freak. I just love how they always bring in kind of like that early 2000s 90s R&B vibe, and I hope they stick with it. I think they will stick with it at least for the first album, but continuing on in the future, I hope they stick with it. It's been so cool to see them start from Cardboard Box to where they are now. Like their gradual growth is so cool, and I can't wait to see them keep growing in 2024 in connection with R&B vibes. Moving on to my girl, the iconic, the legendary Victoria Monet. Her pen is always, always, always on fire. Jaguar 2, hold on, before I talk about Jaguar 2, Jaguar 1 was incredibly underappreciated, and it equally should have gotten the hype that Jaguar 2 is getting. But either way, I'm glad that she's finally getting recognized for her work, and I'm so, so, so happy for that. Um, I'm glad that she's getting recognized for her work as an artist and not just as a writer. It's her time to shine, and it's more than deserved. It's a no skip album for me. Jaguar 2. Jaguar 1 was as well. Jaguar 2 is also a no skip album. It was hard to figure out what my favorites exactly were, especially because I listened to some of the singles before they dropped in the album, and so I was like, "Well, do I still count the singles? What am I gonna do?" But I did decide to still count the singles because if I love them compared to another song, then I'm gonna pull that. I can't just not include them just because they were singles first. So no particular order. All right, the best club bop, Victoria. Where is the music video? Where are the visuals? I would love to see it. Um, Hollywood, it's such a peaceful, reminisce, like very just I don't know how to explain that one. It's that song is a song I'm gonna play a lot when I need to be reminded of where I'm going and where I want to be and just the things that I'm doing. I feel like it's a low key a good like affirmation song. It's not really meant to be that, but for me, that's what it's kind of given that connection to. It's like, I don't know, I just really felt with that. Not that I'm in Hollywood or anything, but that feeling. And I bet the moment she's sitting in now, she's thinking of that song. Shout out to Hazel Monet, Grammy nominated. Next is Goodbye. Perfect ending to an album, first of all. Solid song. I really don't have much to say other than that. I love the whole entire vibe of the album. No complaints. Um, while I'm still a young grasshopper, I grew up on a lot of older music still too, with my mom playing it, my grandma and my other family members on family gatherings and occasions. So I love getting that connection back to that kind of 70s, 60s kind of groove and chill vibe. Like if you're from the Bay Area, like I am myself, I really get like that 102.9 KBLX vibe. Like when I was younger, I don't know what it sounds like now because I don't think it's the same anymore. They don't even have the tune. It used to be like 102.9 KBLX. That was the thing. But that was the vibe that Goodbye gave me. Like I'm driving, it's nighttime because daylight savings time has ended and it's way too freaking dark for it to be this early in the day, and that was the vibe. And I'm gonna be playing that one a lot for sure too. It's definitely on my coffee shops playlist. Definitely on my nighttime groove, nighttime chill vibes for sure. Next one, number 4, Smoke. Smoke is just a fun one. It's just a fun song. Now, I don't partake, but man, is that a fun song. Um, Her and Lucky Day ate it up across the floor. And even though I listened to it first as a single, I still played it back to back when that album dropped. It's still a number top 5 for me. And then last but not least, of course, I have to add in On My Mama, 100%. Um, I'm gonna talk about it when we get to music videos, but not just the song. Her pen, like I said, I'm so deep in my bag, like a grandma with a peppermint. Come on now. Her pen, her pen, her pen. And then we're gonna talk about the music video later. And then last but not least, in the album section for things, I wanted to talk about Renee Rapp. I think her album Snow Angel was solid. My top 2 were Talk Too Much. That song gets stuck in your head a little too easily. It's so good though. I would love to do choreography. Hello to that as well. And then of course, Tummy Hurts. Tummy Hurts. See, Tummy Hurts makes me wonder what Renee wants to do. She's talked about this if you watch the Terrell show. She said she's going for pop, but she definitely could be and would be an R&B girly. And I'm like, Renee, get into the R&B bag, girl. Yeah, do what you need to do. Tommy Hurts, hands down, solid song. I love that she did a collab with Coco Jones, and Coco Jones hopped on it, and they did the music video together. And of course, you have Coco and Renee together, and it just swept across the floor. So the original Tommy Hurts, but also the one with Coco Jones. And then I do want to give some shout outs to some singles that didn't have specific direct connections with an album, or they just stood out as singles. Water by Tyla. Shout out to her and having her like big moment, big breakthrough. I think she's doing it really smart right now. She's really using it to her full potential. She performed on Jimmy Fallon. She's dropping other singles. She's got her album coming out. She's really promoting in the midst of her song blowing up. So that's really good for her. You Wish by Flyana Boss. Um, Also really smart. I've never seen marketing for a song so geniusly done. And they were running no matter who said what. They were like, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna keep running. You want me to Chipotle, a Google? I got you. Times Square, let's go. A plus plus. And then it was so genius because then you started seeing them get those sponsorships and those deals. And I just can't wait to see them keep succeeding. And then last but not least, I want to give a shout out to another movie connected song, Can't Catch Me Now by Olivia Rodrigo. Another girl with a pen, man. Olivia Rodrigo, she's just a really great writer. She can make you really connect. And I love the song before I even watched the ballads of songbirds and snakes. And then after watching it, I even connected more with the song and really like with the story and everything. And I was just like, yeah, she really ate with that. Like, she really did. Cause I'm like listening to the lyrics. I'm like, oh, snap. Wait, she wrote this with connection to that. She's really good at it. But it's just like a really great tune. The Hunger Games has not gone wrong with their new songs or their like movie soundtracks. They haven't done wrong in that Hunger Games series. Not yet. Not yet. Just random insert. I would love to see them do more Hunger Games movies. I'd be very intrigued to see this world keep building. So Suzanne Collins, I would love to see that. Quick not movie, my apologies. Quick music video shout outs. I'm gonna give a shout out to On My Mama, Sean Bankhead, the choreography. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I haven't seen some choreography hit like that in a long time. And I remember when the On My Mama video dropped that day and I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, this is it. And I'm so glad that it blew up the way it did, as deserved. Sean and Victoria, as deserved. And then I want to give a shout out to Bongos by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Um, Cardi B is a visual girly. I have never seen her disappoint with the visuals. I love the way her mind thinks in regards to music videos and what she wants to see. It's very like funky and spunky, and this time bongos went colorful and just like really fun. The costuming and everything, just everything matters for Cardi, and you can tell everything is a piece of art. And whether you like the song or not, for me, it was just really cool and really beautiful to see because you could tell she thought about everything. It wasn't just the choreography, it wasn't just the costumes, it wasn't just the location. Um, if they sat down, what did that mean? How did that matter? If they stood up, what were they standing around under? So everything mattered, and I love that. Um, but that's my best of for music, albums, music videos, etc. We're gonna move on to TV shows. Dun 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 dun. Okay, I have 6 top TV shows. Some of them you've probably heard me talk about in my episode I did with Isaiah when we talked about underrated TV shows. Probably only one of them actually, and then some of them were like recent ones within the later part of the year. So, first off, I have From. I talked about From on my underrated TV show, so I'm not gonna overdo it. But I just want to say, if you like a good scary story, one that's not gonna really jump scare you like that, you should hop on it. Um, I don't want to give anything away once again, but From is a solid world building show. I'm excited to see how we keep learning from it, how we keep understanding what's going on with this world that they're in, or specifically town that they're in, and why it's happening the way it's happening. I'm excited to see more. And I believe they renewed it for another season, as they should. And I'm excited to see people find it. They actually have made it really hard to find and really hard to watch. These streaming services are doing a little too much these days because it seems like you need every single streaming service to be able to have access. But at this point, we have 7 or 8 streaming services. Um, you should be able to access all these shows, and somehow you still are not able to because they have MGM Plus. Like, really? And come on, let's be for real. But From is great for the scary girlies out there who love a good little um, jump scare here or there. But once again, I'm not a huge horror person, so if I can watch it, people who aren't huge horror people can too. I would equate it similar to like a zombie movie, not a zombie TV show like The Walking Dead, which I too love. I too love The Walking Dead. I did have to let it go though. It was too many seasons. I had to drop out. Maybe one day I'll hop back in. But I would say comparison to that, but it's not a zombie TV show. Next up, as I already mentioned, Daisy Jones and the Six. I read the book after I watched the TV show, and I still equally love them both. I actually think I like the TV show a little bit better. Ooh. Um, and I love a good drama. It was a good drama. These characters are complex. I love that it's in an interview style where you kind of get people from the interview and then you get kind of rewinded back in time. Everything was just fun. I loved every change that they made in the story from the book. I think it added more to the characters, it added more to their storylines, and I wouldn't have changed a thing, to be quite honest with you. It was a perfect piece of drama as a limited series. It ends with, you never know, you don't know what's going to happen, and I like that as well. Just very complex. I love a good complex story, because it's a reminder that we're human. And when you're watching stories, sometimes it could be very bundled up and wrapped up cleanly, and I think it was cool to just see it be regularly done. And you figure it out or you don't figure it out, and maybe they figured it out as characters, maybe they didn't, and we don't know. And that's life, right? Moving on, I'm giving a shout out to Albert Elementary season 2 specifically. I cannot wait for season 3 in February, and I'm rooting for Gregory and Janine. But knowing how these things turn out, they're going to frustrate my spirit, and it's going to take 5,000 years to see them properly get together because they're going to be on a back and forth mission. Um, so we're just going to see. We're going to see. But at the end of the day, I can't wait to see Melissa, Barbara, Jacob, and the rest of the team. It's just going to be a great time. Ava and her shenanigans. I love Albert Elementary. It truly makes my day. and I've missed it so much. So I can't wait for it to come back because I need it in my life. Yes, thank you. And then going into Gen V. If you watch Gen V, I know it was pretty popular amongst people on Twitter specifically. Pretty darn good. I missed a good little superhero, not really superhero, but like a little power show. I missed that because I used to, before it was just doing too much and CW was doing too much DC stuff. I used to be an Arrow girl. I used to watch The Flash. Um, and then I kind of fell out of CW, which I never thought would happen, to be quite honest with you, but I did. Um, and I missed having like a good show, so Gen V was solid. I loved every little piece of it. I can't wait for season 2 as well. Um, yeah, no notes. I was shook at every single time. A little too much at times because they really just said YOLO. I was like, 1 minute I looked, maybe I'm eating some food. Next time I looked up and I'm like, oh, all right. But, that's okay. So I'm excited though for the storyline to continue and see what other things come up because the ending was pretty wild. So we're gonna see where we go from there. Next up, and considering wild endings, another limited series, The Fall of the House of Usher. He does it again. My boy Mark, he does it again. He's the creator of Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor. I didn't watch his other shows. I haven't watched his other shows yet, like the midnight ones and such. But I did watch The Fall of the House of Usher. It was great, solid. I love when it gets kind of like split up into episodes. Yes, the storyline continues, but like each episode, we're focusing on a different character, different person. Um, and I don't want to spoil anything, but with that comes different surprises and different understandings. And the cast just did a wonderful job. I once again am not a horror person, but I will watch all of his stuff because the way that horror gets tied in with like humanity is really, really cool to me. The way he does it in such a like smooth way is really, really cool to me. And no notes on The Fall of the House of Usher. Cast did great. Writers did great. A plus plus. And then last but not least, similar out of the box vibe of Gen V, kind of, is Upload, specifically Upload season 3. You can find, and then Upload, also on Prime, by the way. It's just a really banana show. The premise, if you've never watched Upload, is you're in the future, um, and when you die, instead of just dying, catching your death before you actually die, they can upload your kind of like mind onto a like kind of like AI vibe world. And then you kind of live in the afterlife, uh digital afterlife. And some things go down. Robbie Amell is in it. I just can't explain details, but I highly suggest you watch it. The first season it was the most solid for me. Um, I think season 2 took a little dip, but I think season 3 popped back up. And I hope they get renewed for season 4. I'm excited. I feel like it's so weird because I don't hear a lot of people talk about Upload. But what's really interesting is they keep renewing it. So people are watching it, but I just don't think people talk about it a lot. So watch Upload. If you do end up watching it, let me know. But the same goes for all of the other ones I watched. If you end up watching From, Daisy Jones and the Six, Albert Elementary, I hope you're already watching Albert Elementary though. Gen V, The Fall of the House of Usher, Upload season 3, season 1 through 3. Let me know what you think. I quite frankly love these shows. Some of them were limited series, which is okay. Sometimes a story it doesn't have to be more than 10 plus episodes to get to the point. And yeah, they made my year for sure. I love a good storyline. So those were my favorite TV show stories. Moving on to best of 2023 movies. And here's why I'm really excited to talk about these. One, the movies were not, like I said earlier, the movies were not popping off until The Little Mermaid came out. I don't know why everybody decided to drop the movies during summer at the same time. I think everybody wanted a little summer blockbuster, but Barbie knocked them out the park. Some movies got dropped in the summer that I was really confused on why they did. Haunted Mansion. But we move forward. So who knows why they waited so long. but January to April was real quiet, to be quite honest with you. Nothing of my personal interest. But let's start with, I'm gonna try to go in order. I'm probably not gonna go in chronological order, let's be honest. um Little Mermaid, y'all know I love the Little Mermaid. I dropped a whole episode on it. Of course, it's there. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Little Mermaid live action, A plus plus. Next up is The Blackening. I love that I actually got to go to the movie theaters and see an all black cast. I just feel like I don't see that as much anymore. And I love that I got to go see it and it was a horror. We don't see that as much anymore either. I feel like we got it. We got black representation in horror with Jordan Peele with Get Out, Us, and Nope, of course, but more specifically, I miss kind of seeing horror comedy a little bit. Not saying that those three that I just mentioned don't have comedy in them, they do, because Jordan's really good at like having those like random comedic moments to kind of give that low key relief. Um, but like in the sense of like the scary movies and such. So The Blackening was so fun. I love Yvonne Orji, so I'm not even gonna lie to you. She's the one that pulled me to go watch it at first, because I was like, "I'm gonna go represent my girl," but also this looks really fun to watch. And I didn't think it'd be scary because I saw that it had a comedic vibe. It was really fun. It's a movie I would sure, I still have DVDs. I would buy on DVD and keep it. And I heard that they're doing it number 2, and I'm really excited for this to become a franchise, and I think it's gonna be incredibly successful in the sense of, like I said, like, scary movies where, I feel like if they do a good solid 3, they'll be okay. If they don't overdo it, of course, but maybe, like 3 to 5 or something. But The Blackening was a really great time, and if you didn't watch it, you should watch it now. Like, pause the podcast and go, and then come back. Next up, Barbie, of course. Fun fact, I was gonna do a Barbie review, and then the strike happened, and so I said, "Imma just, like, drop it. I'm not gonna do it now," because I'm pretty sure you've probably watched Barbie. Um, it was a fun time, man. Um, there's so much to unpack there, but what I do just wanna say is that Greta did her thing. Like, I get amazed, as I said with Little Mermaid too, I get amazed with directors and what they have a vision for and how they put this vision to screen. It's really cool. Of course, with their whole entire team behind them and supporting and making sure their vision comes to, fruition. But I I really think it's cool. I always think like, where the heck did she start to like get this idea? The first one I think of is like, I'm just Ken. Like, how did she get all these frames in her mind to like start here? What made her think to do slow motion? Like all this stuff. Um, the set design was beautiful, costuming was beautiful. Like everything was just like really thought out. Even the writing, little details here or there, everything was so thought out in Barbie. I have no notes. It deserves everything it got. It deserves everything it's going to get. And it was just a fun time, and I love the way they wrapped up the story. Oh, shout out to Billie Eilish, first of all, because "What I Was Made For" was a beautiful song, written. The way they inserted it into the movie was also genius. Um, I really enjoyed it, and I think the hype it's getting as well, or the credit it's getting, I don't think you can connect it to hype. Um but the credit it's getting right now is well than deserved for sure. Dance the Night Away, also cool. I love Dua Lipa, but right now I'm ready to hear something a little different. But she ate that as well for sure. Um, moving on to They Clone Tyrone, also pulling in that black representation. All three of them ate it up. I cannot wait to see John Boyega keep growing as an artist. I'm so glad the whole Star Wars situation didn't like blacklist him from Hollywood. It seems like other people got his back, and that's really cool. Um, that was not only a fun time to watch because it had comedic moments, um, but it was also a good like reflection. It was low key a think piece in a way, but in a good way. Because I know sometimes people use think piece in a negative connotation. Um, I like being able to reflect and have to think about things when I'm watching them, and I really, really enjoyed They Clone Tyrone. I really had to sit there and think and make sure I was understanding everything correctly, or if I was overthinking something that I saw or noticed. Um, it's very interesting because I'd be curious to see if I don't think I don't know, the way they ended it makes it feel like there could be a number 2, but I also feel like it's also something that could just be left alone to make us kind of figure it out and think about it more in depth. But if you haven't watched it, you definitely should. Highly recommended. Go watch it. Moving on, a surprise top for me was Elemental. I just it's been a minute since I've had a that cutesy feely vibe for a movie, for like specifically animation. And I don't think I connected it to Inside Out just because they were just like not non-human characters, if that makes sense. But it just really gave that vibe of that internal reflection and connection. Sometimes people don't like when Disney Pixar kind of like also kind of in a way do think pieces, or in the sense of give deeper meaning to their stories. But I actually really do. I think that's what makes them cool and important, for lack of a better word, because as a kid, and maybe I should start rewatching more of the movies that they came out with when I was younger, but as a kid, you usually don't understand the full capacity of what the messages are. Not saying there needs to be a message. Apparently, the latest news has been that people are tired of them giving messages, including the person who's literally in charge of Disney, which is interesting. But I think that's what makes them more significant. Sometimes you can just give a story, but sometimes you give a story with a message, and that only not makes it fun for the kids to watch, who usually aren't understanding it, but it makes it fun for the adults to watch. And it also, once again, makes it important for the adults to watch because they can connect with it, they can understand it, and they can walk away with something. And that's what Elemental did. I just really, really love the story that I was watching. The things that she had to go through, Amber had to go through. Um, I don't know. I just vibed with it. It just made 100% sense to me. I think as an older daughter too, obviously she was the only daughter, but a lot of stuff was weighed on her shoulders. And I was like, oh man, Amber, I vibe with you, man. Like, I was like, I'm really surprised at how much I enjoyed the movie, truly. And Wade was we love we love a character who doesn't really know exactly what he's doing, but does his best, and he's just walking on vibes sometimes. Like, he's smart, but he's also just walking on vibes sometimes. So I appreciate that. I really loved Elemental. It was a surprise, cute vibe, and it'll now always be in my top Pixar films. Random note, I'm really excited for Inside Out 2 to come out next year. That is my favorite of all time. And if Inside Out is better, which it could possibly be, there's adding new emotions. I'm really excited. So it might steal another spot, or maybe it'd be like top 1, top 2. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to give a shout out for that. And then last but not least, fun fact, I don't think anybody really watched it like that. So Bird Box, if you don't know what Bird Box is, really big movie that hit in on Netflix years ago with Sandra Bullock, my girl. I love Sandra Bullock. They came out with Bird Box Barcelona. Highly recommend. And I'm trying to recommend this without telling you why. But let's just say the perspective that you would assume you're getting is not the usual perspective you would get in a movie like this. And I loved that little twisty twist, and I love that we got a change of view with this world that we've already been introduced to. It kind of left me a little shooketh. I wasn't it was a good watch, and I had to put it on my list for that reason, cuz I was just kind of like, "Oh, what? Really? Okay." And I loved it for that little twisty twist. And if you watched it, then you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, you should go watch it. Last but not least, a fun shout out movie real quick is Five Nights at Freddy's. Um, I am not a gamer, but I've always known about Five Nights at Freddy's. I've watched people play Five Nights at Freddy's. I love like watching people play horror games because I know I won't play it myself. Um, and I was immediately interested in seeing what this movie would play out. Also, Josh Hutcherson, come on now, let's be for real. And also Matthew Lillard, come on, let's also be for real. So I watched it. It was a fun time. I don't if you were thinking you were gonna come in for this intense horror movie, you were wrong. I could once again, anything horror that I can list, it's not that bad. um, not too bad, or I can at least handle it. Five Nights at Freddy's was a fun time. Not only that, I know I keep saying fun time, but truly, I'm only putting these things on my list if they were truly a fun time to watch. I'm not putting it on my list if it was just kind of eh. But I enjoyed it for slight comedic reactions and things like that. Um, I enjoyed it for the little twisty twist we got at the end. Kind of predictable, but I don't think the movie's trying to be like super deep anyways. It was literally just supposed to be a fun movie for the fans, but obviously done well. And I think it was done well. I question mark. I don't know if they're supposed to continue with them. I don't know. Y'all let me know if you know the answer to that. But I'd be intrigued to see how that keeps going. I don't think so though. But also at the same time, there's multiple books. So if there's multiple books, I don't see why there wouldn't be multiple movies. I don't know though. I haven't read the books, but I know the movie is based off the books as well as, the idea of the video game. I don't know. You tell me. Those are my top movies. If you end up watching any by my recommendation, please let me know what you think. Once again, I love a good storyline. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up, y'all. I almost forgot. That would have been so disrespectful of me. The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. How dare I? That's also my most recent one in my brain, by the way. I'm doing a quick shout out because I need to move on. But I watched it in theaters. I don't usually vibe with movies that are longer than 2 hours. Um, in a movie theater, I'm not a person who likes to get up and go to the bathroom and go. Like, no, I'm gonna sit here and watch this movie. I'm not missing nothing. I paid every penny. So with that being said, I was sitting through it. But also fun fact too, um, I have a sleeping issue, low key. Sabrina and Nicole can attest to this. I'm not falling asleep because I'm bored. Sometimes if I'm comfortable, I just kind of, or if I'm tired, I just, fall asleep. My brain just kind of taps out. And that movie, my brain tapped out never, not once. I was fully in, fully engaged, didn't doze off not once. My brain didn't even fight to try to stay awake once. But once again, Hunger Games has never failed. Some people say they don't like Mockingjay 2. I can understand. That movie should have been blended. But in a random side note, though, that was a time where they were weirdly separating the end films. Same thing happened with Divergent, and that's why we never saw number 2. And same thing happened with Twilight. I don't know why that was a thing, but yeah. But I just love that the Hunger Games really just like never fails. And they did it again. I loved seeing Coriolanus's fall. That was so interesting. Um, I was reminded of Hunger Games' reflection of current humanity. So Suzanne is in her bag about that. Um, like, man, if you really want to think about society, you watch Hunger Games and you understand it. Obviously, that's taking it to a whole different level of dystopian, but these days in 2023, it doesn't feel too far, So I just truly, 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 truly enjoyed it. And missed watching like these dystopian films. We don't get them as much anymore in the land of reboots. And you know, it was nice to see a fresh story. And we really don't get these fun, and when I say fun, like as in entertaining, like I was really encaptured by the story. We don't get these stories like that anymore. I really do think the 2010s was that time of like Divergent, The Hunger Games. We got a few other things too. Can't, but yeah, it was just like action packed, and I feel like we don't get that anymore unless it's like Fast and Furious 5, 7, 6, 8, or whichever number they're on, and some other things with Dwayne the Rock Johnson in them. So it was just really nice to get it. And I hope we get some more of that stuff next year. I would also like to see rom-coms make a proper resurgence. I say proper because some people try to come in, bring a little rom-com to the table, and it doesn't make it. Do we need to bring our people back to the table? Sandra, Jennifer Garner, do we need to bring them back? Um, I would 100% watch another rom-com with them, by the way. I love Sandra Bullock and Jennifer Garner. All right, moving on. Last but not least, speaking of loving stories, loving dystopian, loving fantasy, etc., 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 I had to talk about books this year. And if you listen to my top 5 books episode with Summer, you already know that I'm a fantasy girl. I love a good fantasy. I also love a good rom-com just as much as I love rom-com movies. I love a good rom-com book. Surprisingly enough, though, when looking back at the books I read this year, I did not read a lot of rom-coms. Isn't that strange? I actually read more fantasy novels this year, which I'm really proud of myself. Fun fact, the year is not done yet 100%, but I did hit my read 40 bookmark, and I've actually went over it, and that is the largest amount of books I've read in years. So I'm gonna keep that goal going. I'm really proud of myself. Because I think the highest I ever get is 20, 25 at best. And that was like 1 year within the past like 5 years. So I'm cool and you should be cool too. And read because reading is fun. Starting with Legendborn and Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion. I just want to say this. That's my number one for the year. Yes, Fourth Week came out, and I'm going to talk about that too, but I have to give it to Tracy. And here is why. I am kind of tired of being a Black woman not having Black fantasy to read. And it's out there, but it doesn't get enough representation and it doesn't get enough love, support, and it's not as much. I feel like there's so much out there that isn't getting the chance to be published. And I feel like it's more than deserved because it would be ate up 100%, just like Legendborn and Bloodmark were, because Tracy was given the chance, and now it's one of the most successful books of 2023 before Fourth Wing came out. Fourth Wing kind of blew it out the box, but at first, the beginning of the year, everyone was talking about Legendborn and Bloodmark, and I was like, I got to read this, and it didn't disappoint. In the order, I liked Bloodmarked better than Legendborn, which makes sense. This should make sense. Every book should get better. That is my personal thought process. Usually it's like the first book was the best. No, I want the second book to be better. I want the third book to be better. Um, and I loved the tie-in. Sometimes it could get a little old, but I loved the tie-in with Black history and specifically in America. Usually it's like, oh, we get it. Like, why can't we read a book without, you know, adding in slavery or adding in those things. But in the case scenario of the story, it's actually incredibly important to how our main character gets to where she is and how her ancestors got to where they were. And I think Tracy does it well to the point where it doesn't feel draining and it doesn't feel like too sad, but it feels in a way celebratory of history, celebratory of culture, celebratory of specifically the main character's ancestry and their people and their line. And I'm excited to see where it goes. We're not getting the third book until 2025, but at least now it's not a trilogy anymore. It's gonna be 4 books, so I'm really excited. Y'all should read it. Once again, it's a fantasy. You pull in. I'm not trying not to tell you too much. I've talked about it once again though on top 5 books, but you pull in a little bit of some monsters in there, some interesting tie-ins with royalty, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. So that's Legendborn and Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion. Next up is another 2-piece, specifically though, because this is a duology. I think duology should be more of a thing because I loved not having to make a huge commitment. I just want to say that. But it's The Serpent and the Wings of Night and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent. Now I do want to say, I don't know if I had to rate it, it's a 5-star for me. 1. it would be very hard to give you a top 1 book for this year because I really do love Legendborn and Bloodmarked, and I really do love Serpent and the Wings of Night, The Ashes and the Starkers King. But it was really great. I wanna read it again so bad, but I'm really like, if the rest of the year, you should probably focus on trying to, get some of your stuff off your TBR. Um, so I'm not gonna read again right now. I'll save that for next year, but I love a good romantasy, and Carissa really ate up with that. It's enemies to lovers too. Carissa really ate up with that, and true, like, actual enemies to lovers. It's not like, "Oh, he was in love with her the whole time." It's actual enemies to lovers. Like, he coulda killed her if he wanted to. So how can I connect it? If you wanna think of it like, hmm, it's low key Hunger Games. Hunger Games meets The Vampire Diaries meets something else. Because it is about vampires, but they all get put into a competition, and it's survival of the fittest. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's a fun time though. I'm smiling as I'm thinking about it because I can't wait to reread it again. Um, and I love that it was duology. Keep it short, keep it cute, stories wrapped up. I feel like this should be more of a thing. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I vote for duologies. But if the story needs to continue, continue it. But I feel like sometimes people stretch the story when it could have been finished. Same thing with TV shows, same thing happens with books. And low key, same thing happens with movies when they're franchises. So yeah. Next book, I'm gonna keep it in the romancy area, and then I'm gonna give you the 2 other drops that are not in fantasy. Of course, I have to mention Fourth Wing, duh. If you didn't read Fourth Wing, go read it. One thing I can't stand is people being like, "Oh, everyone's talking about it, so I don't wanna read it." Boo, tomato, tomato, tomato. Like, read it. Why are you being a hater? Now if you actually don't wanna read it, then okay, but if you don't read it just because if you don't wanna read it just because other people hyping it up, I don't know. I just feel like you're a hater at that point. Like, you just hate on people's joy. Um, I saw it hyped up. I waited a bit. I finally read it, and it was worth every hype that it got. I really do think 2023 was the time of books. I do wanna also give a side shout out to Divine Rivals. I did enjoy it, but, like, low key team, I think it was that one was overhyped. I think because I need more story building. I'm still a little confused. That's just a little side note. Don't hate me, sorry. But back to Fourth Wing. Rebecca, love a good enemies to lovers. Rebecca, love a good story setup. Love a good world building. She world built that thing so good. I I I wasn't bored reading Fourth Wing. I was eating that up. I did an audiobook mainly, and then I reread it again in book form. So then I finally bought it. Um, and it was just so good. I would reread it again, but there's no time for that. I already reread it this year, and I was like, one reread only. I can't read one. I can't read one book twice too many times. Oh, see, that didn't even make sense because I'm over here scrambling. Basically, is I can't read the same book too many times, and I read it twice already, and that was too much already. So I can't read it again. But to add on though, we had Iron Flame come out. Iron Flame was solid. Loved Iron Flame. But I weirdly enough, like I said, in relation to Legendborn and Bookmark, I liked. I was reading Fourth Wing faster. I was more engulfed. So I was a little nervy about that, but it was still good though. A plus plus. I got the sprayed edges. So I'm excited for number 3 whenever that happens. Rebecca, let us know when you're done writing. No rush though, sis. No rush. But I'm excited. I'm a little nervy for the Vampire Academy fans. I called it. I called it Dimitri. That's all I'm gonna say. I called it Dimitri. So I'm just letting you know. I have faith though. I have faith. And we're gonna leave it at that. If you haven't read Fourth Wing, you haven't read Iron Flame, I highly suggest you read them if you love fantasy, dragons, etc. etc. Um, Also kind of gives a Hunger Games vibe, survival of the fittest, but a little less battle, battle, battle all the time. So check it out. Last 2 books on the list. I did read a nonfiction this year. I read 2 technically nonfictions. Really proud of myself on that. I'm glad my mom died by Jeanette McCurdy. I was really interested in her story, especially growing up with her on my TV, and really I loved iCarly. I love iCarly now. I'm so mad they canceled the iCarly reboot. Actually, let me give a shout out to iCarly TV show as well. I'm also gonna put it on underrated, but technically it wasn't because it was trending every single week. So Paramount, we have beef. That was a side note. Anyways, I'm glad my mom died by Jeanette McCurdy. I listened to an audiobook. She did a beautiful job. Absolute beautiful job reading that audiobook. We were with her. I'm so glad I read it in audio. I listened to it in audiobook form versus reading it for a book, which is rare because that's never the case scenario. I don't regret it not once because I really got to understand her story more by the way she read it and by the like she's a beautiful storyteller. Like I think she should read audiobooks and get paid to do that. I know she's done with acting and stuff. I I love it. She's a great storyteller, so if she wants to keep writing books, go ahead and do that. Like I would love to see that. So if you haven't read that, go ahead and read it. She's strong and I'm so glad that she was able to, you know, process what she has been through and come up from it instead of be buried under it, especially as a childhood actor. Like, I'm really proud of her for that. And then last but not least, the romance of the year for me, because once again, I said I didn't read that many. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I know it's another one, like, oh my gosh, KaVonna, you're putting in a lot of the popular ones, but they're truly popular for a reason because they're really good. And Book Lovers, once again, of course, are y'all surprised? It's an enemies to lovers. But also, I'm not gonna say nothing. Actually, I'm gonna just yep, it's an enemies to lovers, and it's about book lovers, as it says, specifically people who are in book publishing, book marketing, and it was really fun because it's something about reading about a main character who also loves books as a person who loves books. I don't know. It just you get that connection a little bit more. It's just fun. Like it's just really fun to read as you connect with them. But then it was also fun to see our two main characters connect with each other, eventually fall in love with each other. And yeah, I love that. I also read Happy Place by Emily Henry. That was a good one. I think I might have read it too fast. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think I read it too fast, so I think I should reread it because I was thinking like I can't even think 100% of what went down. But I know for a fact I do want to buy it. I don't own it, but I also need to just stop buying books because yeah, I'm over here acting like I got a whole library and I don't. So those are my top books for 2023. I gave you my music. I gave you my music videos, my TV shows, my movies, and my books for 2023. Please share with me in the comments of either at KaVonna on Instagram or please share with me on the polls and the questions on Spotify. What were your favorite 2023 moments, whether it was TV moments, movie moments, book moments? I would love to take recommendations. So if you have any, please, I love stories in general. I just love a good story. I love a good world building moment. So I will take anything you suggest and add it to my list. Now my TBR is a little too long, but I'll take it. I'll still take it and I'll add it. I can't guarantee when I'll read it though. But I'll take movies and TV shows and music, of course, as well. So this is the second to last episode of the Introvert Social Hour Season 1. Stay tuned for the last episode next week. I'm so excited to be bringing on Daniel to talk about what 2024 holds and how 2023 has wrapped up for us. It's going to be a cool little reflection moment. Make sure you follow at KaVonna on Instagram to stay updated about what is happening with this podcast because things are coming for season 2. Make sure you like, share, and follow this podcast. Please, please, please support. Thank you so much for everyone who has supported so far. Everything counts. This has been the Introvert Social Hour. Make sure you get some sunshine, get some air, and have an amazing, amazing day. I'll see you for the last episode next week. Bye.